All right, all right, all right. We gotta go over this. This is some serious topic, some serious knowledge going on. We gotta discuss about this full luthen rail. This Andor series was probably some of the craziest Star Wars I think we've ever gotten. Um, yeah, this was shocking from the start to finish. From the minute that full Cassian Andor is convincing that rebel spy, who I guess is the pilot or the plug or whatever. I don't know. She's black. Um, that was massive. That was seismic. The way he is coercing her is that is almost to a level of like, hey, when we're talking about the scope of real life, that is on a level that is like, I don't want to say evil, but that's very heavy when you consider that both sides are really, you know, targeting these people, and not even really targeting, but it's got to this has got to get done. Like, look at what we're up against here. And I think the writing is perfect when he's going and when he's telling her about, what she believes in and what she wants to put down. Man, that was a shift, man. That was like it's easily some of the best Star Wars we've ever gotten, easily. And it plays off of like radicalization, and yeah, it just plays so well off of just the idea of like radicalization, and what do you want to put down? What foot do you want to put forward? Do you want to be subservient, or do you want to be free? And yeah, but when we talk about a specific character and you look into Luthen Rail, I think his character was easily the best. I think that's possibly the top five. Yep, I could go top three. I'd say that's the top five Star Wars. Yeah, top five Star Wars character we've ever gotten. Absolutely. That fucker was prolific in what he did. And what I want to highlight is just the fact that his connection to Clea and then the rebellion, and then his belief that centered on him not being able to see the fruits of his labor. I think that was, man, that was some of the best. That was some of the best uh Star Wars we've ever gotten. I keep saying that, but that was phenomenal. It really the ability of Star Wars to go back in time and then give more credence to a project. That's pretty cool too. But you know, Rogue One now is I'd say that's like that went from like a 7 out of 10, I'd say one like from 7 out of 10, max 8 out of 10 to almost 10 out of 10. Because when you look at like the quotes of the characters and you look at what was set up, that was phenomenal. And I think these projects that weigh death more into the character, because not everybody's gonna get happy ending. That's what I like. That's what I really like when Star Wars stresses. Not everybody's gonna get some, oh, save, no, save him, no, 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 no. Uh-uh. I love it when they do these characters that nobody really knows about, but everybody in Star Wars knows about. Like, it's you did your job. You clocked in, and oh my God, focus up. Talk about Kobe Bryant energy. That fucker went crazy. But all these fuckers went crazy. All these actors did they like, from, if we're talking about from a real perspective, like, all these actors went nuts. Andor went nuts. Um, Even the supporting actors went nuts. Uh, Even down to like Wilman's like little love interests. That was man, that was key, man. Like, you talk about weighing your interests when you're fighting a war. When you're fighting against insurmountable odds, when you're fighting against insurmountable odds, an impossible foe, what seems an impossible task, and you're weighing your your odds against what's coming. Yeah, man, that will make you think. That will get you. That is like excellent. That's like phenomenal storytelling. That's just to set up the storytelling, because the storytelling I'll get into, but there's these scenes that I want to talk about with Luthen Rail that I think could give a lot of scope to the entire series because his his whole uh his whole arc when it started showing him as an Imperial trooper and how he was just like make it stop, man, that right there is it just goes to show you when you're fighting and you have all these sleepless nights and you got the loneliness of being in a fight and a fighter and a warrior and you have to abandon the human condition. I think, man, that is something that you really don't get in storytelling a lot, and they really wax over in these stories because if you're really up against the wall, you have there's some options, but you don't have much. There's what you're gonna do, and then there's what is just gonna happen, and you may think that you have very little effect over things, but in reality a lot can happen with one little act. A lot. That's and I think when Saw Gerrera said that we're the fire or we're the friction that sparks when the air is whatever. That was man. That and man and him oh man him referencing his sister. That was heavy. That and him because it shows he's been fighting for so long, and when it shows him in the Clone Wars and losing his sister, man, that was man. You can tell he's suffering. Now there's some real suffering being shown in the show, and he is suffering. And it's like at this point, you know, I thought it was so, man, it was profound how he said, we're not gonna see the fruits of, we're not gonna see this. We're gonna be dead before the New Republic arrives, and that's exactly what he said to Wilman. And man, that's almost like that it just goes to show you like with Ahsoka's character and all these the people who fought against the Empire, like the most prominent figures that fought against the Empire, most of them, when you're talking about like a cog in an army, that's what they really showed. Like, especially him from the beginning when he finds Clea in the ship. You're a small part, but you have a lot to do with what happens. Like, very, like seriously, you like there's a lot that you have to do with what happens, and yeah, with your individual acts and just because you can have individual acts and you can have things stacked up that just boil over and then you have a boiling point and then it's just it's game on and yeah, they really went toe to toe with okay, do we want to sit here and watch as the because I thought in Rogue One this summed it up when she's talking when Jyn Erso's talking about if you don't look up, it's not a problem if you don't look up. Nope, that's a fucking lie, dude. That's subservience. And eventually, what's gonna happen is you're gonna be forced so far back by the machine, by the system, by whatever you're up against, that one day you're gonna look, and it's gonna be like the dirt under your fucking nails. It's gonna be that ugly. It's gonna be right outside your fucking window, man. It's gonna be right there. It's gonna be right there in your face. And they did such a good job with that. They did such a good job with that. I thought that was just absolutely profound. But let's talk about the quotes. Um, I I I think that when Luthen said, "I burn my decency for someone else's future, I turn my life to make a sunrise that I will never see." When you say that and you weigh that, he understood that he's never going to enjoy the fruits of his labor. He understood that if it's just one person, if it's just one singular soul that I can put into a better position, what I what do I have to lose? I that I this is that's and it goes to it like I almost want to like get a little bit deeper and say like you have these figures that are fighting and are in a state of like war, constant war. They understand, they've taken on the idea that life is really not that, like this is really not really what it's cracked up to be. Like if you've got the mission and you got the ability to just weigh it out and really get down, You know, people have gone toe to toe. Really, you know, they understand. Either they understand or they just did it. That's because there's a lot of people who also just did. They just there's no like internal monologue about what they're doing. They just fucking did their shit straight up. Like, you know, these people like Kobe Bryant, these people like you know, whoever these people who just are going toe to toe with the with stuff that they have to deal with, no matter if it's a war. And that's the thing, no matter if it's a war, no matter if it's your job, no matter if you just got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. And uh there is there's a real tune there's a real tune there's a real tune that people either, you know, it's either up in people's face, or it's just for some people it's just in their it's almost like it's in their blood. It's almost like it's a spiritual aspect for them that they never had to get taught to them. It's something that was already within them. And I just think that is so, like, when you expound that to humans and anything when you look at these things, I think that is just, I think that's so beautiful. I think that because that really is the human condition we're dealing with. That is really what, like, we're doing. Humans right now, you know, we're at a time where we're not really resilient, but we exist in the better and the worse at the same time. And when you can put your foot down and you can really shift gear and do something about that, that's people have argued that's when we're at our best. We're not at our best, you know, sitting around eating gushers and watching TV. No, that's slow death, man. That's slow death. That's almost like putting somebody in a chamber and just watching them, you know, just rot. That's what that is. You could argue that's what that is. And yeah, man. I really like that aspect about what they're pushing in Star Wars and what they're doing now. What they what they depicted was, man, that's so profound. Like, it's like I just can't stop thinking about the fact, like, man, shout out to all the people in the real world. Shout out to all the people in the real world who died for fighting for causes bigger than themselves. And may they rest in peace. May they rest in peace, honestly, because that's kind of what it's driving home. I mean, that is what it's driving home. What the fuck? It's like, almost all the characters, like, they're like, you can tell they're like most of them are tired. Most of, like, and that's really what sucks. Like, you look at this fool Saw Gerrera and Luthen Rael, and you look at kind of Cassian too, but Cassian's like on the youthful side. You look at those two, man, and it's like, it's almost it's it's a verse that they haven't given up yet. It is it just goes to show you what we can really, like, deal with, and like what we can really take and part and put out and move forward on. Uh, I think I think that's just amazing, because it's just, it's like, it just is another verse in the duality of man and what we can do and what we can get done. And yeah, I really wanted to make this video just talking about Luthen and just his and what he's just gone through. And that's yeah, I can really, like, put it like that. Like, and then you got the scenes with Clea, and that, I it would almost be a crime not to talk about that. That actor, she is she did that was cinema. That was cinema at its prime. That was so that was so well, like, oh man, that man, the relationship between him and her is heartbreaking. The way he finds her, and the way he's talking to her at that cafe, and then oh man, when he passes her the detonator. See, that's it's just like, it's cyclic. Like, it's cyclic with this. Like, Star Wars, this is like bullets in the magazine. They are dumping out lessons, man. This is crazy. Like, when he's sitting there and he's like, "Do you know what you want?" come on now, like that, like, do you know what you want in this? Like, we could go, back and forth about if you have the balls, like, this and that, but you really have to want this, and like that's what like subsides all the lessons with life is like, what do you want? Because you can want while there's shit going on, while there's serious, you can want these small options. There's honestly nothing wrong with that. Maybe when it comes to certain people's takes on it, yeah, absolutely, they might find it wrong, but again, that's what makes this so beautiful, man. That's what makes life so great. We have options. If I'm not gonna sit here and say that's what the best thing is to do, but if you want to sit down, if you want to lay down, man, shit, lay down. Like, what do you want? That's what every human. Sorry, I'm stretching. Okay, that's what every human. At the end of the day, you have the ability to decide what you want. That's what God gave us. That's what we were given. We were given the ability to decide what we want for ourselves. But when forces are coming against that, then it almost becomes, hey, what do you need to do? And if multiple times in life, if we find out that what we need to do and what we want is not aligned, tragedy happens. Things fall apart, and that's real shit, man. You will not find yourself farther from tragedy when your want and your need is farther apart.